Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. I'm Biola Alabi.
Good morning. Welcome back. I'm Veronica Decker.
And I'm Tundra Biola. The 2019 governorship election has come and gone for the states, where the Independent National Electoral Commission declared the process inconclusive after the first date of March the 9th. Presumably, winners are counting their gains at the same time that losers have gone back to the proverbial drawing board to re-strategize, or so it would seem. Questions are already being asked as to whether truly sleeping dogs would be allowed to lie. To help us bring more perspective on this, we have now been joined by political analyst Yemi Saka. Welcome to the program.
It's nice to be here. Good morning. In the midst of beautiful ladies.
Thank you.
So the month is going to be beautiful for me.
Amen. So, give us an overview. Let's jump right in. She's like, give us an overview of 2019 general election from your perspective.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to, can I say fairness, we can say it's inconclusive, but in the next word, I think there's, we were meant to build on the improvements or the success of 2019. Yeah, I can't say that about the 2015, I can't say about the 2019 elections. So it was, this is the first time I'm saying, I want to say this is the first time I'm saying this kind of elections, but this is the first time I'm saying an election that even, and almost every, across board, unless you want to deceive yourself, that this is, you just have to question it, the credibility, the process, and what have you. If you look at the budget that went, the money that was, the funds that was expended on these elections, the attempt to amend the Electoral Act to give us something credible, and how the major actors, spawn that or throw that away. We've just been taken back like 30 years.
Wow.
I'm serious because now you find people, look at 2015 elections, the cases that went to tribunal, look at the National Assembly, were minimal. You could say it was a true reflection of, the people's will. I can tell you the tribunals will get busy this time around. I foresee a lot of elections. I'm not trying to be subjudicial, I'm not trying to preempt the courts, but I see a lot of elections being overturned.
So the judiciary is now the electoral umpire and not INEC?
I think we have to agree and accept that. Wow. That's the bitter truth. Because I don't know why you put it, the law, you see, it was a simple thing. It was just 1 + 1 is equals to 2. We now turned it to divide the hex. For everybody, and now find it so cumbersome and confusing. If Mr. President has signed the Electoral Act, I don't know for whatever reason he rejected that, the process would have been smooth. We wouldn't have some states turn heavily militarized just because of an election. And it's when Atiku Abubakar, the PDP candidate, was making some claims, people felt it was laughable or outlandish, but I need INEC to tell me a state like Yobe, where there was a bomb blast early in the morning, and they had a massive turnout. So that, and I want to tell you, I just wanted to explain how that was possible. And where in Lagos State, you had people disenfranchised, because nobody can, now we can say it, disenfranchised, and they were not protected. So I'm wondering how they were able to protect people when they're in an area that's battling with insurgency, that they could turn out massively and could not do that. It questions the process. So for me.
If the courts are now the umpire and INEC has lost so much credibility, why hasn't INEC itself come out to talk about what it needs to do, what it will do differently, and really to apologize to the electorate? Because every single person we've spoken to has said INEC disappointed them.
Well, I don't think INEC will apologize, because if INEC should apologize, it's an
admission of guilt.
Admission of guilt, and you cast huge doubts on the process, and everybody will just say, look at what INEC said. And I think as an institution of government and Nigeria.
But as we're growing our democracy, isn't there a place for us to have a dialogue, maybe not an apology, but a dialogue with INEC, and for INEC to stand up and say, look, there's no monopoly on wisdom, on doing things the correct way. We did the best we could. Yes, there are things we're learning. I mean, when their report is published, do we expect any any tone of
Clearly.
any,
We didn't get an apology for the postponement.
We did not, yes.
So
Which we're still waiting.
I don't know why you people were surprised about the postponement. Because I saw it as far back as last year. I think it was going to postpone the election. It's not. It's
How
just like a
come?
template.
how did you see it?
No, because like a template, it's a real issue that naturally to happen. Since 2007
We've always
election,
postponed.
2003 election has always been postponed. Yeah, by a week or by a month, it's happened.
But we were given weekly assurances.
Yeah, and
lead
in
up
this
to the
situation, there
election.
was much more preparation that went into it.
No, I probably will not say much more preparation, but more funds.
Yes, well, more funds to prepare.
And more reporting. I mean, there was a
We
regular
were given our
reporting.
weekly
Yes.
assurances,
Yes.
a weekly diet of assurances from INEC that it was not going to be postponed. So you never believed that.
No, I never believed. I knew it was
wow.
buying time. It was just a stunt to tell you, like, okay, last minute with logistics, and it's just.
Did you also expect it to be that last minute? Because I think once we didn't
That's what
see
If
it,
INEC had not postponed that presidential election, I would have questioned my senses and intelligence
wow.
as an individual, because I knew it was going to happen.
Okay, so did you
It was like a
foresee...
template.
I want to move on now. Did you foresee rivers, because of rivers of blood, unfortunately is the term applied to rivers during elections, but did you foresee this level of militarization, this level of acrimony in River State?
Yeah, I'll mention names, and I think I need to pray to God to I won't be dragged to court to face libel suits. But, I think it's an ego war between Wike and Amici.
Oh, it is?
It is, and it's just, I don't know, they should look at the people. I think from what I could say I know about River State, Amici is an Ikwe man. He has this belief he was the one that made almost everybody in River State. He brought Wike on board. And trying to play fair to him, he said, I can't spend 8 years as a governor, another Ikwe man want to take over from me. Let it go somewhere else, and that's where the whole thing started from. But I can't blame Wike for being ambitious. And elections is all about test of popularity. And if Wike felt was popular enough to become the governor of River State, let him try it, and that's what's happening.
But the Aquarius have spoken, and they spoke in favor of Wike.
Yeah, so
Where does that leave Amici?
Oh, I kind of pity Amici, because the only thing he should be paying for is retained by this government. And we knew what was going to happen. The rally in River State, when he was dancing, he sang his traditional song, and he said it would be war. And I saw a commander-in-chief that was so desperate for power that didn't come out to tone down...
To tone down the rhetoric.
You
Yeah.
made that
Exactly.
point, Mrs. Alabi. You made that point.
Yeah.
That he should have corrected that.
No, Mr. President, so you call him Mr. President, I always call him Muhammadu Buhari, would not say that. He's been a man since he became the president. He's selective when he wants to talk, has never satisfied all Nigerians when it comes to national security or national issues. I still question his credentials as a general, because there are some things that have been happening in this country that should not even happen under the watch of a private in the army, not talk of a general. But back to River State. And, each presence of army felt it clearly showed that it was Amici coming back for his pound of flesh. 2015 was Wike, PDP, Jonathan's era. Now it is Amici having his pound of flesh. But I think if we were departed or voted for change,
Yes.
2015, felt what PDP did was wrong, I don't think we need to justify it. What APC did in River State with what PDP did in 2019. Why did we vote for change then? That means you guys are same of the same.
Can I ask you, since it was so clear who the two parties were in this war, why did no one at any given point call these guys to order? There must be someone that they listened to. And this really became an all-out war, even though we knew and we saw this happening, and the rhetoric kept on getting ratcheted up every single time. Is it just that they were beyond reproach?
When the gods want to destroy first tons, we were mad. So, so I think it's normal for, let's just allow them to display, sorry for my choice of word.
At the expense of their own people.
Oh, that shows
who they
you,
are both seeming to fight for.
That shows you how barbaric, how inhumane they are. Because I don't think if the whole River State, indigenous or citizens, residents of River State are dead, I don't know if you're going to go there and govern over corpses or what. And you see, it's this bad. I can't turn arms against my people. I'm an Ijebu man. I cannot assume or probably allow you or think of it that anything will come near Ogun State. Or not say come near Ijebu, where I come from, and you think I'll just fold. I cannot sacrifice Ijebu land for my personal ambition. I will not. I'm not that selfish.
And you think that this was...
And this is what is lacking in these two men. It's, to come to think of it, that Amaechi was speaker for 8 years, governor for 8 years. All you just need to do, if it was sensible enough, okay, we can actually naturally be expecting me to come hard on him. Let me allow him have his way. But I think it was even Amaechi that cost APC the right of not having a candidate in the elections.
So the Supreme Court is going to rule on that. So do you think that the PDP's celebrations are premature? In case the Supreme Court does rule that APC had the right to have contested in the election and orders a fresh election?
I doubt if there will be a reversal or upturn of the judgment at the lower court, because from my elementary knowledge of law, if the same prayers was what you took to the high courts and the appeal courts, I don't think you can add new prayers or reliefs. And if you can't add new prayers or reliefs, there's no way for anything to upturn or affect or influence the decision of the Supreme Court.
They might decide that, because the issue has been what is the validity of the direct or indirect primaries. So that might upturn the apple cart.
If the question is this, if that was the prayers they took or the relief they sought at the High Court and was thrown out, and they went with the same relief and prayers to the appeal court and was thrown out, 8 out of 10.
You don't see a change.
8 out of 10 to be thrown out of the Supreme Court. Unless maybe God, who has the final say, comes up with a miracle for them. Or maybe there's one DBA somewhere that could turn things around and just, like, the remote control they used in Ocean, they can use it to get the judgments at the Supreme Court, which I doubt.
I want to ask you, were you moved at all by Governor Wike's tears when he dedicated his victory to the people who died? And do you see him, because he cried, he was that emotional, do you see him offering any kind of overtures of reconciliation to his former friend, Amaechi?
I doubt if that will happen. I can't question his emotions or if he felt that bad over the loss of lives. I can't question it. And naturally, anybody would be moved. Even the devil himself, I think, would be moved at times just to make a case for himself. So I think we should give him the benefit of the doubt that since he meant well. But I think Wike has just established himself as the new godfather of River State politics. And you should expect him to want to pick his successor. It's not like Fashola that wasn't allowed to pick his successor. He doesn't have a godfather breathing down his neck telling him this is who you should choose.
I mean, this is...
So many places to go.
Yeah, I'm back it up just a second. You said about having a godfather and, him being able to pick the next successor. Should that be the case when it comes down to politics? At the end of the day, are the citizens not the ones that have the right to actually vote? Shouldn't it be the right man for the job? What is this thing about having to pick who should succeed you? Isn't that just a control of retaining power in a situation where you're not the owner of the state?
And technically, if you've been so close to power, don't say you holding on to power. Power is sweet. You will not want to be naked, because once the power is out of you, you're naked. So you just want to you always want to feel protected. And it's not safe. You see, out of office, they see a lot of missteps they took while they're in office. And then while they're in office, sometimes they know this is what I did wrong. I've stepped on toes. I need somebody to just keep protecting me. It's a selfish agenda, but everywhere in the whole world, I've never seen, maybe a few instances or occasions where independent candidates emerges as the president or something. There's always a structure.
Yes.
The political party must throw you up. The process must throw you up. Whether frontally, covertly, or overtly, some godfathers operate. So, but that's even in American democracy.
Yes, that is true. That is understandable to a certain extent. So when you have a situation like this, where Amaechi has had so much power and has refused to relinquish and let go of the state, what should be done in a situation like this so that other states and other, our country as a whole, were learning from the situation?
No, I think whether I like it or not, Richard has grabbed it away from him. Wike has grabbed it. So if he wants to, you don't trust politicians.
This is a true sign of what happens when two elephants.
Do you know the most pathetic thing or painful thing that could happen, confounding, confusing thing? These two guys could make off towards 2019, towards 2023.
Yes, because they were friends.
It's a possibility. I know, because it's not about interest. Because I can cite instances. If the power that be or those that controls APC feels Amechi is not needed, because forget that there's something still hanging over his neck, the leaked audio, and if those we know in the APC and how the hacks want to work on that, I can see he should just start counting his days. And when he's out, he becomes an orphan, and if he's an orphan, he needs to just, okay, fine, he would naturally want to get back.
He wants to go back home. But I want to talk about another handover gone wrong in Kano State between Kwankwaso and Ganduje, which we now saw play out in those violence-ridden elections, the supplementary elections in Kano State. What is your comments about what happened in Kano State? And do you think the court is going to overturn Ganduje's return?
I would not want to preempt the court like I would say, but the Kano was just, you know, I was smiling when you were asking about Kano. It gives me so much joy, and I'm satisfied, you know, because when we kept complaining about some things, you find the bulk of people from Kano not questioning it. So I'm going to digress or move away from what we're discussing. Build up to 2015 election, I was very critical of Jonathan when it comes to national security. They kept on bashing him. I kept on. I think I have to apologize to the man because I was one of the few people. I think I was one of the first person to call him clueless.
Oh dear.
So I'm telling you an apology for the man right now. But you say to the man, but towards this election, we kept on bringing the issues of this insecurity to fore. But they kept on suppressing it. You know why? The interest was just for them to retain power. And it doesn't suit the narratives they've pushed out there that the country is working, Buhari has curbed insecurity. So when we told them that, when we told them about what happened in Rivers State, they were not in accordance with us. Because they felt we were lying. It was out of proportion, the Southwest media or the West media or the South media. So when they were given the dose of what we're complaining about, I'm not a sadist. I think it tells them that we should all at all points condemn what is bad. Because you don't know when you fall victim to such things. So, but Kano's election was laughable because we saw images, we saw reportage everywhere to tell us what really happened. And now I think we've adjusted, they've amended our Evidence Act. So I think those things will be tenable in court. And my personal opinion, I believe that is enough to overturn any decision of INEC. I'm still wondering how INEC, or where INEC derives its power to declare elections inconclusive. I know there's an electoral act that guarantees them that given to conduct the elections how to deem fit. But I know my section 179, subsection 1 and 2 of the Constitution states how a governorship election should be.
But INEC derives that power from the Electoral Act, margin of lead principle. That's what they cite.
Electoral Act, but the Constitution, section 3 of the Constitution says any act of National Assembly or any bylaws that's inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution
is null and void to the extent of the inconsistency.
So I'm wondering why, even the case of Osun, if I'm a lawyer, that would probably be my first argument before even going to the technicality of how the elections was declared inconclusive. So I think we still need to look into that direction to see how we can deepen. It's going to deepen our constitutionality, it's going to deepen our democracy. And, you know, it's going to be good for us even as a country when you have states like Kano having the election at a different time than the other. So because some figures during these elections, I consider them laughable, impossible, and ingenious as well.
You mentioned Osun, and at the beginning of this round of elections, there was this feeling that there was this Osun template, and that the ruling party is using the Osun template across the country.
I tried using it somewhere. I think they tried it again. They tried something similar to it in Rivers.
Yes. Do you believe that it worked? Were they able to pull it off? Or do you think that it's actually backfiring now? And was there really an Osun template?
Yeah, there was an Osun template because people cashed out, you know, heavily from what we were told. I think for me, the greatest winner in Osun election is not even Adeleke. And can never be Itola. It was Omishowe. Because there was no way Omishowe could have won the election. But
it was a beautiful bride, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was romance that it was a nice bargaining chip for him. He negotiated, and it was no matter what they tell you, the guy was compensated. So just like if you go to Oyo, Akala won, whether you like it or not.
Because he threw his weight behind the candidate at the last minute.
No, they went for him, they romanced him, and they did everything, and he supported them, and, you know, it won't come with just words of mouth.
When they didn't come with a handshake and a hug.
No. They're not that friendly or charitable in politics.
You're an Ijebu man, and you talked about being an Ijebu man. Let's talk a little bit about
Ogun State.
You knew where we were going.
Well, I'm an apostle of fair play. I don't know how I might not fancy Bukunle Amosu. I might not like his style of governance. I don't know him, and I don't think I will never say never. But I don't see me tilting towards the side. But I felt in the history of Ogun State, so when it comes to Ogun State politics, we should give Ogun East and West. Is it West? Yeah, West. Yewa.
Yewa.
A shot at the governorship.
Which is what he tried to do.
Which is what he tried to do. But you say he was being clever by half. And he shot himself in the foot, because if I were him, I'd have romanced to Shomole. We're both governors. You can always reach out to each other. He didn't want, if I can borrow his word, Capo Dutiti, the Lord of the Manor in Lagos, to control Ogun State. But there are ways you could present your case nicely, and people will support you and be sympathetic to your cause. That was where he lost it. And maybe his personality, his, I don't know, style of governance made him unpopular with the people. But he had a genuine case, and that probably will upset or probably affect some ambitions of a lot of people with Dakwa Abiodun. I think, imagine as the governor, there's a lot of things that have to be rotated and what have you. But one day, someday, I pray the people of Ogun West will get there.
Because they've been marginalized completely. It's always Egbas or Ijebus.
Yeah. And just like I'll tell people, I've been making this case too as well. It might seem as if I'm flying the kites too early. That's why I believe that the Southeast will have the presidency in 2023.
Because marginalization does not help us at all as a country.
Yeah, because I tell people, when I see people advance the logic, yes, you're a bad boy, or she bad, you will take over from by 2020. Don't you see the post better? Like, I'm not greedy, I'm not wicked, I'm not biased. Like, presidency, we've had presidency for 8 years. I think we had the speakership of House of Representatives for like 4 years, almost 4 years, Dimeji Bankole. You're going to have vice president for 8 years. You're not dreaming of having speaker now for another 4 years. You're dreaming of having the deputy senate president for another 4 years. Are you guys not? Are you the only one? You see, that's why I love PDP. I think I might say this now. I have affiliations with PDP. I won't lie about that. I don't think we've had issues. The only time we had issues of zoning in PDP was when what happened to Yadra threw up Jonathan. But when they were going to form PDP in 1997, 98, thereabouts, to just, to have 98. 98 to have the elections. The agreement was the power must come to South for 8 years to pacify us for the June 12 crisis and what have you. And after it gets to South for 8 years, which has to be Southwest specifically, it goes to North for another 8 years. Anywhere North decides it should go to. By the time it's coming to South again, we know the case Southwest, you've had your 8 years. Let it go to either South-South for 8 years. After the 8 years of South-South, it goes to the North. After the North, it comes back to the South and it becomes South. It just turns off in the next region.
Southeast.
And it's like that. And I think the constitution that would have worked for us was the draft of the 1995 Constitution, which spells that out. I think at a cycle of 3 dispensations, every region would have had a shot at the top offices in the land. So there's no way you could call a shot for marginalization. Even the 1995 draft, if we say the drafts issue, so that in case of that, because if there's a president from a zone, there should be a vice president from that zone. And I think you've made room for 3 or other vice presidents or so. So when the president, in case the president dies, the vice president from a zone takes over and completes the term, and it goes to the other zone. Yes. It was that spelled out. The Constitution made room and accepted the fact that about our tribal differences and agitation, whatever we like it, we are one Nigeria, but if power should go around, everybody has a sense of belonging.
So this is the political reality we face as Nigerians. Because I'm all for meritocracy, but we have too many tensions at the moment to do that. We do need to rotate the presidency.
Yeah, we should. And you know, that was one of the good things that came out from General Sani Abacha. A lot of people have observation about him, but that draft would have done us a lot of good. But do you know why we didn't adopt it? Because when he died in 1990, I think he died 98, yeah. He died in 98. When General Abdul Salam got into office, he called the Supreme Court Justice, I think Justice Nikki Toby was there.
Yes,
and they called the political parties and the groups then and said, okay, we need a constitution to midwife this democracy coming on board. They wanted to adopt the 1995 draft. Afenifere, that body brought us into this mess. They rejected the 1995 draft, claiming that they were not part of the Constitutional Conference. So that would not happen. And Abdul Salam just wanted to hand over and go. That was why Justice Nikki Toby went to 1979. They just changed the dates. And instead of...
And gave us 1999. But I completely disagree with you, by the way, that the 1995 Constitution is what we should have adopted. Absolutely out of the question. That was correct. The issue now is to amend the 1999 Constitution.
No,
the 1995 Constitution was completely flawed. I completely reject what you just said, by the way. That needs to be clear. But back to INEC's elections that we've had. We've looked at the inconclusive elections in River State, Kano,
Bauchi, there was Bauchi.
But Bauchi was kind of civilized in the sense that the handover, well, the APC incumbent governor conceded to Bala Mohammed. Benue, was Benue a surprise for you? How close Benue was?
No, but I wasn't.
Tom prevailed in the end,
yeah,
but it was quite close.
I wasn't surprised about Benue. I was surprised more of what happened in Plateau. Not Benue, because I think Benue was going to go PDP with one's...
no matter, even
one's autumn, even if they fielded the monkey, it would have gone down.
I have to say, can we stop doing that? Because I think that when people say that, it really does...
I'm not saying as in when it have picked anybody.
No, but it was close. Look at Rivers. Look at PDP's landslide victory in Rivers. That's what I expected in Benue. Given the whole herdsman crisis, I thought APC would have the poorest showing, but it was quite close.
And because the incumbent governor, was very adamant about protecting the land.
What happened was it didn't really perform well.
But he was.
It was just the narrative, he held on to.
The protector of Benue.
But don't let us forget that I had forces to contend with. The Akome and Coes, and they are no pushovers in politics, especially when it comes to Benue. So that's why it was that close for them in Benue. It wasn't because APC was popular, it was because of personalities on ground for APC in Benue. My surprise was Plateau State. I was shocked.
Why so?
Because if there's, I think after Benue, in fact, we cannot even say this is the worst in Benue, worst is in Benue and Plateau when it comes to the herdsman crisis.
Yes.
So I think the hunger was there in the land, was so high you could feel it. Maybe Dalong was so loved, Lalong was so loved. Maybe did well in some other aspect. They felt he would do better, or maybe we just realized the fact that there was nothing they could do. He doesn't control the security architecture. He's the commander-in-chief. Maybe those are the things that worked in his favor. But I was shocked about Plateau.
Any other states that surprised you?
There was just one election that I took to the heart. I felt so passionate about it. I was even close to tears. That was the re-election of Senator Bukola Saraki.
Otoge.
But...
No,
for me, that was a personal loss for me because I was hoping to sing back at the night assembly.
He'll be back.
Definitely.
At some point, of course.
Definitely, he'll be back.
I know we're kind of wrapping up, but I definitely want to get your take on the general view of how PDP performed with this election, the traction that was made.
Okay, I probably want to say this. Our party is not dead.
Okay.
Our party is not dead. We at least if you look at the governorship, I think we have 19 states now. We are not dead. We're coming back.
Okay.
And we're in court.
Good luck.
Thank you very much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
We appreciate your time.